Hey folks, it's Kurt from Whitetails Deer Hunting. It's a rainy spring day and I'm stuck in the garage. So I got a project to work on today. I'm going to show you guys how I build my own DIY shooting sticks for next fall's deer hunting season. Last year I treated myself, and after 20 years of having the same muzzleloader, decided to buy a new one. I bought myself a CBA Acura MRX and I absolutely love it. I put a Vortex scope on it. It's got a new strap on it that's rubberized, so it just sticks to your shoulder better. It's the MRX, which is the shorter barrel to make it easier to be able to stalk and move through the woods. After spending all fall in tree stands and behind my ghillie blind, once I get to gun season, especially muzzleloader season, I'm excited to get on the ground, to do some ground hunts, to do some slow stalks. In the last couple of years, I've found that I really need to try and find a more stable rest as I'm walking and stalking through the woods to hunt. So I have a pair of sticks that I use for standing, but I decided this year that I'm going to build a new pair of sticks that's shorter, and I'm going to use these sticks for kneeling on the ground to go ahead and use my CVA Acura MRX muzzleloader as I get ready for deer season this upcoming fall. You don't need much for materials for this. I've got a treated board that I bought right here. I've got some duct tape, and I've got a bolt with some washers and a couple of two-ended screws. I've got my chop saw to cut the wood. I've got a sander to go ahead and sand down some grips. I've got a drill to make the holes, and I am ready to get this thing going. The first thing that I need to do is determine what a comfortable position is for me. I usually put my elbow onto my actual knee itself and then go ahead and use that as a rest. But I want to make sure that I have the sticks in front of me as an extra rest, just to make it that much more sturdy as I'm walking through the woods, just in case I've got a shot that's 50 yards or more. Go ahead and mark with this tape where that is. Check it again. I'm going to take my tape measure here, and I'm going to measure to the top of the piece of that tape, and it looks like it's just over 31.5 inches. As I'm taking a look at this right here, here's my pivot point, and I don't actually want the 31.5 inches to be at the pivot point. I want the 31.5 inches to be up here where the barrel of the gun's going to rest. So I've got to measure from that pivot point up to where the barrel is going to sit. That's about 2 inches. So I have to subtract actually 2 inches from the 31.5 to get 29.5 to measure where I'm going to drill my hole for my pivot point. The next thing I need to do is figure how high I want the sticks to be above the pivot point. And I think last year I used 6 inches from the center. Yep, that's about where it is. So from that actual pivot point where I marked right here, I want the sticks to be 6 inches higher. The other thing that I want to do here is I want to make sure that I am creating an angle so the sticks sit a little bit better in between there. So there's the angle that I am going to be cutting the stick right there, and I will cut the other stick the exact opposite way. So when I get all done, it's going to look like this, and the barrel of the gun will sit right here in between the two sticks at the top. The thing that I have to take into account when I go ahead and make this height measurement is, even though I'm looking for this pivot point where the bolt is to be 29.5 inches, I actually am going to have the sticks at an angle. So I've got to go ahead and do some math. Now that I've calculated on chat the actual angular measurement that I need, I'm going to measure my 31 inches. So if I want to come back and measure the width of this board, I'm looking that it's about 1 3/8, which is 11/8. I'm only going to need half of that. So half of 11/8 is 11/16. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, and there's 11. There is the center width of that board at which I'm going to drill a hole to be able to put my bolt through. . can see, I purchased this bolt to be pretty close to about the same depth as these two boards. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and inset this head into this side right here so I can snug the nut down on the opposite side. But there's also going to be a couple washers in the middle of here too. So don't want to go too deep right here. Just enough to offset the head of this nut when I drop it in there. And same thing on this side. Bolt's going to go down through there. Then I'm going to take a hammer and I'll pound that down in right there so I can get that as snug as I possibly can. So now I'm going to take these washers, putting one rubber washer there, one metal washer, and another rubber washer right there, and dropping this other side onto here. And then I'm hoping that I went ahead and inset that enough that I can get this bolt in here. Before I went to work this morning, I went ahead and grabbed a wet rag and I cleaned all of the sanding dust off of these sticks right here. So now I'm going to go ahead and start the next part. I'm going to go ahead and stain these, and I'm going to go ahead and put these double-ended screws in the bottom so they don't slide out on me. I'm going to go ahead and use this paracord to make a wrist grip. And then I'm going to use some of the duct tape that I have right there to put on the ends to be just a bit more grippy for when the barrel of the gun is sitting there as I'm trying to steady it and get a shot. Those shooting sticks need to dry. Got some chestnut stain on them. Let them dry for 24 hours before I do anything else. First thing I'm going to do is drill a hole into the ends of these sticks. Get a pilot hole started as close to the center as I can possibly get. Then go ahead and increase the drill bit diameter slowly so I don't end up splitting the wood. Here we are. Now, when I go ahead and set this up and put these down into the ground, I'm going to go ahead and have two cleats there so the bottom feet won't splay out. Make it a little bit more stable. Next, I'm going to go ahead and take some paracord that I have here, and I'm going to create a wrist strap. And the wrist strap I also want to inset actually into the wood a little bit. So I'm going to open up these sticks up, and I've got an area that I sanded here, so I want it to be just kind of up above that, but I want the knot to sit down in that hole right there. So I'm going to go ahead and drill a couple holes down in this to be able to put an inset area in here that's big enough to hide the knot. So now that I've got this hole big enough, I found out by using paracord for trail cameras that it's important to go ahead and trim these frayed ends that you have on the paracord. And then what you need to do is go ahead and burn them, wet your finger and thumb a little bit, and reshape it the best you can, because otherwise they will fray out in the field. This just allows them to last a little bit longer in the field. And you can see the difference right there between the frayed end and the end that I just burnt. So we're going to see if I made this hole big enough, too big, too small. Get one side in. May have made the hole just a little bit too big. So I'm going to go ahead and put a knot in this now. Go ahead and use a pair of pliers, sometimes helps. Try and tighten this knot up as much as possible right there. Let's see if we can tuck that knot right down in that recessed area there. Give it a little help. There we go. Now you can see that knot's recessed in there. That way these can open and close. I'm going to go ahead and put a big knot on this side as well. Double loop. Tighten that right down against the outside of the stick. And then continue to double knot this to get it to a length which is more appropriate for your wrist and not having it be too long. There you go. Now I can go ahead and carry this right there and get that off real quick. So take a look. There you go. Now I've got this nice little loop handle to be able to carry these with out in the woods. The final thing I'm going to do with these is I'm going to put some duct tape on the tops to give them some more grip. So spread them out a little bit here, and I'm going to go ahead and take this brown duct tape first. And I just want to cover the length and over the top a little bit before I wrap it. So you see I've got the camouflage tape here, I got the shiny tape there. Hopefully the camo is going to make it just a little bit more difficult for the deer to see. Do the same thing on the other side. There we go. Got the top of that done with the camo duct tape. So it's going to offer a little bit more grip when I go ahead and lay that barrel down inside it right there. These shooting sticks are done, man. I am psyched. Looking forward to gun season next year when I can get out in the woods, set these up on the ground, lay down on one knee, and get a shot at a nice buck or doe. I'm psyched. Got new shooting sticks ready to go for muzzleloader season this upcoming fall. Going to give me the opportunity to make a lot more steady shots and accurate shots when I'm out in the field. Hopefully this helped you guys out. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section. It's Kurt from Whitetails Deer Hunting. Hoping you guys have a great day. See ya.